welcome to Conversations, Cocktails, and Connections.
I am Amy Hester.
I am Emily Reeves.
We're thirsty.
We're thirsty, and tonight we're going to make something called a Roosevelt.
Ooh, that sounds fancy.
It does sound fancy, and so we needed dark rum for this, which we didn't have dark rum. So we got some Goslings.
Ryan Gosling?
Yeah, it's got a black seal on it. And when I was at the liquor store, I was like, okay, so I need dark rum. I have white rum, but I don't have dark rum. He's like, well, don't get the Bacardi dark rum because basically it's white Bacardi with like caramel coloring added. Like,
Ew.
And I was like, okay, well, that's good to know.
Thank you.
You need to
Heights Fine Wine.
Yeah, thank you, Heights Fine Wine. You need to talk to your liquor store people because they know what's going on.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. He's like, so then he like gave me the other options, and so we went with Gosling. So
because we like Ryan Gosling.
So this is our first thing with dark rum. Then we've got some vermouth, which this is a fresh bottle, so it's not rancid.
And we'll refrigerate it.
And we will refrigerate it, as we have now learned that is an important thing to do because vermouth is a wine-based.
Do you think that's why you got a smaller bottle?
That could be. Well, I mean, that's not why. I think Matthew bought this bottle for me, and he always buys the smaller bottles. Like, I'm the one that, like, I buy everything bigger or 2 or 3 of them because I'm like, why buy 1 when 2 will do, you know?
Yeah.
And Matthew always buys, like, the least amount, like, whatever the least amount possible is, where it's just the different ways.
Well, it kind of makes sense, though. Like, if you have to refrigerate it and things can go sour, why not get the smaller one, right? Unless you're having, like, a party.
It makes sense. Or you make, or you have a cocktail cocktail show
with just us.
Cocktail show where you need it all the time.
Yeah.
So this has
we love Simply. I love the brand Simply so much. I've told you all before that I love the Simply Orange Mango with champagne. It's amazing. Oh, yeah. It's so good.
So I was like, Matthew.
And tequila.
Matthew does the grocery shopping in my house. I was like, get the smallest thing of orange juice possible because look, this is how much we just used.
They should totally market for cocktails and make like enough to be in like a shot glass. Wouldn't that, I mean, for toppers.
Okay, now I'm going to have a complaint about this recipe. They've got everything measured in ounces, and then they do half a teaspoon of simple syrup. Like, what? This doesn't measure teaspoons.
Just guess. Alexa.
What? Alexa, how many teaspoons are in an ounce?
1 fluid ounce is 6 teaspoons.
Oh, well, then that explains that. So I need 1 teaspoon. So it's like...
I would have never guessed that. I would have thought it would have
So it'd be like 1/6. So it's like literally just like a splash.
It's a splash.
It's a splash. I made fresh simple syrup for a splash.
You're so good.
What?
Okay, listen.
Will you give me the top of the
shaker?
shaker?
You're amazing. Because I love the fact that you make simple syrup.
It's
do you
so
love
easy.
Okay, so we're into this podcast, but have you loved how I'm the sidekick?
We divide things very easy.
I'm scared to make. I don't want to make it, so don't try to say like I want to make it by saying this. But I love that I'm the sidekick and that you make it. But it is your house too.
It is, but also like.
So Matt's like, oh, you've been doing this podcast, so can you make me a cocktail? And I was like. No.
I can drink a cocktail.
I can drink
But here's the thing. We divide responsibilities pretty evenly. Like,
yes, we do.
I might do the cocktails, the technical setup, and the editing. You do, like, all the guest scheduling, guest prep. You know, I post on social. You post a little bit. Like, we kind of take turns on that. But you do all the direct messaging on social. Like, so we it's pretty even.
Yeah. It's fine. It's a partnership. Okay,
it's orange.
Ooh, I want to talk about our guest tonight. So if you have not gotten the this month's issue of Inviting Arkansas, our cover girl is amazing, Cathy Browne, and she looks absolutely gorgeous on this cover.
She does. It's such a pretty
she looks really pretty. It's such a soft color. Like I love the whole color of the cover, and I'm real excited to talk to Cathy. I've known her for a while, and she's just an amazing lady, and she's very involved with Women and Children's First, and very passionate. And you know, you have when you find a cause. I mean, if you're not passionate about it, then why are you doing it? I mean,
right.
I mean, you can do some fundraising or whatever, but when you actually have the passion for these people, you stick it out and you're doing it for a long time. And she has been working for this cause for a really long time. I think as long as I've known her. So I think that's real important. Like, I'm not saying people don't do things for things that they believe in, but I'm just saying, like, she believes in this. She's seen it firsthand. She knows what people are going through. So I'm really, really excited to talk to her about what's coming up. So
how would you like your Roosevelt? I mean, like, it has an orange tint. It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
I like it.
Cheers.
Okay. Well, that's good.
It is good.
Emily, you're such a good bartender.
I am not. I just, searched for some recipes.
Where'd you get this recipe from?
So this recipe came from Thrillist, and it was in my search for things that are similar to an old fashioned, but like
because we like
old fashioned, we like the boozy drinks. We like the brown liquors, and so I found it this way. It's supposed to be served in a coupe glass, but all of mine are dirty, so we're doing it in these, and it's pretty good.
It's really good. I love citrus. I think since we've been doing this, I really have really like lemon and orange more.
Yeah.
And they were not my top favorite
I'm just
citrus.
Gonna, again, give a plug for my Cuts gloves because they are so liberating. Like, I feel like I can really dig in and like get a good
So when Halloween comes around, you're going to be like wearing those and digging into pumpkin.
Look how I'm like, they're already getting stained with like
Can you wash them?
The juices. I don't know, but I mean.
If you wash them, then.
Do they lose their
I know,
power?
then we're not washing them.
We're not washing them because I still have the scars. Like we're but I feel very liberated using my Cuts gloves.
I love it. Well, let's talk to Cathy and hear what all is happening with her and Women and Children's First.
Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. How are you ladies?
Hi.
Good.
How are you?
Oh, good. I'm sitting here in my little office.
I love it. I think that you're which Emily actually is the social media person that knows all the things about everything. And she's the one that told me about this. If you don't know this, about this thing called, was it Room Raider?
Oh, Room Raider. It's a Twitter account, and like all of the news and political pundits, they rate their backgrounds and like give them advice
from Zoom.
Yeah,
and I was like, I'm gonna rate it. You get a 10.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Well, I got all my inspiration behind me, so I'm in this room and I'm inspired. And of course, this helps the inspiration.
Yes. Cheers. What are you drinking?
Cheers. Well, I'm drinking Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc out of this beautiful glass.
I love it.
It ought to be beautiful cocktail glasses in conversation.
That's right.
I know. So Emily and I are drinking a Roosevelt.
Yes. It's a new cocktail we're trying. It's got dark rum and vermouth and a splash of orange juice and a little simple syrup. It's very good.
It's very good. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So it's really fun. I mean, we have experimented so much with cocktails that I would have never tried ever. Yeah. So now when we can actually go to a restaurant and sit in a bar, we are going to know exactly what to order.
Yeah, and you may decide on a second career choice as a bartender.
I don't know. Hey, Emily, I'm the sidekick. Emily kind of makes them up. And I'm like, I just said a minute ago, I was like, do you realize that I'm kind of the sidekick and I'm not making the drinks? And I like it that way.
When it comes to the drinks, when it comes to something else, I'm the sidekick. Like
it sounds like that drink would be good on a ski slope, maybe even warm.
It would.
Ooh,
warm.
It would.
I know. I mean, I'm so ready to travel. Have you guys traveled anywhere?
No. Yeah. To the lodge to duck hunt and back. And the grandkids love that. So if they're happy, we're happy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I want to talk really quick about this absolutely gorgeous cover.
Pretty.
So this cover is so pretty. Where was this taken?
This was at our new home. We just built a home on River Ridge, moved in last July. And when Kim and Michelle came to me and said they wanted to do this, I said, okay, here's the deal. No foo-foo ball gown, no jewelry, that ain't me. And anyway, so they low-keyed it, and it was all about the message.
This picture is beautiful too.
Thank you.
And Alicia did a great job with hair.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Your hair looks amazing. Bridget makeup. Yeah. I mean, they did a great job. It's a really pretty cover. I love how soft it is. The look of everything is really soft. and the colors are really pretty, which is kind of nice to go into what you're doing, which I think is really, it's cool. When I say soft, I mean, when you're talking with women and so women and children's first is I as long as I've known you, you've worked at this with this, right?
Yes,
I mean, how long
yes.
have you helped with this organization?
Well, I found my passion just totally just a fluke about 12 years ago when they asked me to, a friend of mine, well, I didn't really know her, but she walked up to me at a crescendo party and she said, we are remodeling the downstairs kitchen area of a nonprofit. Would you mind giving us some tables and chairs?
Which, okay, well, first, real quick.
Okay.
She is the Hanks. I mean, the Hanks furniture. This is the Hanks. Cathy. I mean, you're the better half and you do so much for Hanks furniture and it's like amazing. And everybody here knows about it, which I think it's really funny when you hear people, do you not think this? Like when people go to Florida and they don't realize that there's a Hanks there and they're there at a condo and they're like, I recognize that voice. And they're like, oh my God, there's a Hanks here.
Yeah, they used to ask us, they said, Cathy, this is so cool that Hank does commercials for these people down in Florida. And I said, well, that's us. That's us. Well,
That's awesome.
I'm the woman that ended up being the advertising and marketing person for Hank because I was the only one that had the courage to tell him to suck in his tummy, pull up his belt, quit doing this in the studio. Everyone else was too timid, and so we let them all go. And anyway,
that's
I'm the mouth behind the man. So what can I say?
Hey, it works, right? I mean,
sure.
Everybody knows Hank's voice or who he is, but this is the woman behind the man.
All right, so somebody came and asked you for furniture. So they had a reason for asking you for.
Reason. So they said, and I said, sure. I said, we've got lots of tables and chairs. And they said, well, don't you want to see it? Don't you want to know where it's going? I'm like, well, okay. So I went down to this facility. It's an old house. It's old antebellum home. And at that time, it was 99 years old. It's now 113 years old. And they were remodeling the kitchen downstairs. And it was a damn mess. It was just, even though they were trying to improve it, I mean, I was looking at bare wires and I was looking at bad air conditioning. And, you know, we have all these service people on speed dial for all of our stores and everything.
Yeah.
So I looked around and I said to the one of the ladies that worked there, I said, do you have a facilities person or committee or anything? And she said, no. And I said, well, you do now. I said, I think that I can make a difference right now. And she said, well, that's great. And so I was walking around the rest of the facility and this little boy, big brown eyes, was following me. He's so cute, so cute. And I bent down and I'm like, hi, sweetie, how are you? And he put up his arms and he said, will you hug me?
Oh, bless.
Oh my God.
I was done. And I've never been a joiner. I was in a sorority for 6 months for my mom at OU, but I've never, you know, I always sold furniture and independent businesswoman. And I mean, hook, line, and sinker. They just got me. So I've been with the organization for about 12 years. I was board chair for the last 5 years, mostly because they said, Cathy, you don't have a real job and everybody else does. But it was during some tough times and I did have the time. And so, well, I moved out of the board chair position this year. Excuse me. A lady, Diana Smithson, moved up to the board chair and I'm now chair of the Campaign of Courage, which is our fundraising campaign to get into a new building because we can't stay in that 113-year-old building anymore.
Yeah.
So I've just kind of moved along with the organization, but
well, so tell us what Women and Children's First is. What is for those that are not familiar? Give us a little bit of background on it.
All right, Women and Children First is the oldest domestic violence shelter in the state. It is the largest in central, in Arkansas. We have 54 beds. When we are able to have 54 beds, we have 54 beds, and they are, before COVID, they were 99% full every night.
Wow.
In fact, sometimes we put air mattresses in the sunroom or take the dining room tables out in the dining room and whatever we have to do. But we take care of women and children and men. We're the only shelter that has a facility or has an area in this house that we can take care of men, that they have their own bathroom and their own thing.
So
it's unusual.
So what would you give me an instance or an example of why a man would be there? I mean, is it the opposite of like his wife is abusing him and he needs to find a place too?
Yes. I mean, that happens. Or a few years ago, we had a disabled gentleman that was living with his two nephews, and the two nephews were abusing him.
Elder abuse.
Absolutely. There are so many ways, there's so many types of abuse that it's just not physical. I'll give you another example. This is so cool. I'll never forget this lady. So there's a lady working at the Clinton Library. She was a docent there. She was an elderly lady, and everybody loved her. And she had 4 grown children that kept coming up to the library, trying to see her, getting her to sell her house. They wanted the money. And they were just relentless. And so finally, the 3rd or 4th time, they called the police just to get rid of them. And the police have a test they do in the field with elderly people to make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
And they gave this lady the test, and she was more okay than most people. But the police could tell that she couldn't go home that night. And so they put her in the back of a squad car and they brought her to us. Well, she didn't have anything but her purse. So we provided pajamas and robes and all toiletries and things like that, and had one of our advocates in the room with her when she was changing clothes. This woman was smart enough to take all the money she could out of the house and turn it into money orders. And as she took her clothes off, God, money orders started falling out of her bra and her panties. And I mean, that's just amazing. The coolest thing ever.
Wow.
I remember my grandmother safety pinning money inside of her bra.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that's awesome.
There's that lady. And incidentally, I mean, the timing of this, Hank had come over to the shelter with me that following morning and saw this little lady pad across the hall into the bathroom in her robe. And then he saw a lady come down the stairs with her arm in a sling and a black eye. And part of her, I mean, she had a really bad, scrape on her head. And of course, Hank is pretty uncomfortable, but he walks through the hall with me to where we were going and came back out and got in the car. And he said, wow, that was interesting. And I said, well, there's 2 examples. Yeah. And I told him about the lady with the financial abuse, elderly abuse. And I said, and the lady that came down the stairs, you saw her on the news last night. Her neighbor called 911 just in time for her abuser not to have shot her in the head. He had knocked her down the stairs, and he's just like, wow. And the more I got involved in this organization, the more you realize the average, or what they say, is 1 in 4 women will be touched by domestic violence sometime in her life. I don't know if it's just because I'm involved in it that I hear more about it, but to me, it's more than that. 1 in 4 teenagers will suffer some kind of abuse in their teenage high school years, which is why we created the criteria now that's taught in all the Little Rock schools with dating violence. And that's a lot.
So
Wow.
can I ask you, because I know you've been with this, like, I know about like more verbally abusive kind of, which is probably the worst. I mean, because you don't know people are going through it. Like physical, you can see the bruises and the scratches. Okay. Well, verbal abuse is so hard to know because people can hide it, and they are
Verbal
so
or emotional,
emotional.
like
Yeah. So
ultimately
they're
emotional.
so it's just like this, like they have a grasp on them and they're like so scared, and it's like you have to separate them from whatever they're going through for a certain amount of time before they realize that they've been in that abusive relationship, right? I mean, I
Well,
know.
I mean, that's it. And what's happening now, isolation is the key to these
Yeah, like
abusers.
getting it away, and then they start
That's
recognizing.
right. You're not talking to your friends anymore, and we don't need to go see your mom anymore. And I really didn't like that friend of yours down the street, and isolation. Well, now with COVID, oh my God. I mean, it's just ramped it up like you cannot believe. I mean, these people that their only escape was going to work or going to school,
Right.
having him
I didn't think
go
about
to
that.
work. The stressors that are happening now with no job and waiting for the stimulus check. And I mean, it's unbelievable. So we have the state hotline for hotline calls, and we usually, well, let me look here. Last year, between March and September of 2019, we received over 4,100 hotline calls, and this is from all over the state, 77.
So he goes straight to that house, the house, and there's somebody there that answers.
Yes, 24/7. Yes. People just can't come up to the gate. They have to call first, and we vet them. And
I bet you have really great security, because if somebody's coming for domestic abuse,
they're
yeah.
I've actually been to that house before.
Yes, you have.
I went to the house, and it is the largest home.
Yes, it's
The
over
oldest,
60,000.
largest home. And it is, I can't imagine, like, I know when you're saying like it's hard to sustain like keeping that thing running, because just having an old home, like when we lived in North Little Rock, our house
We
was
have
like
an old home here.
yeah, I mean, just little bit of maintenance, and I can't imagine like a place where you can have 54 beds. Or is that what you said, 54?
Yeah, we have 54 beds, and they're in, and it's a
plumbing.
home, so it's all repurposed. All these rooms are repurposed. The old dining room is our conference room. The ballroom, there was a ballroom in that house, and it's now about 7 offices with partitions. I mean, we're so jammed up.
So
we don't have kennels.
Do you put out the address for something like this, or
No,
is it
right now the shelter is confidential.
Okay.
Our new shelter will not be.
Okay.
That's going to be a huge benefit to women and people that are being abused, because the public will know that it's there. They will know that the facility is awesome. They will know that there's other services under that same roof, that a woman can go get orders of protection. She can talk to a prosecuting attorney. She can go to a clinic, get legal aid. It's like a whole new concept of everything being under one roof that a woman needs to have to put her life back together.
Are you allowed to say where the new location's going to be?
Well, actually I am, because the city, God bless them, God bless Frank Scott and the city council and Cathy Webb and Kathy Peck.
Hey,
we looked for 2 years and could not find a place big enough. It was either in the wetlands or, it was too small. And I mean, we were getting really frustrated. We found a whole block in the Mansion District, but the lady wanted a couple $1 million for it. And I thought, no, we're not going to do that. So working with the land bank, the planning and development, and then working with the legislature, Representative Love. I don't know if you guys know Representative Love, but he is, I should call him Saint Representative Love.
We should have him on.
I know.
You should. No, you definitely should. You definitely should, because he is he is very
For we should have representative love for Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. No, he'd love that. He'd love that. But he is real good friends with our executive director, Angela McGraw. And so he knew that we were looking for land. So one day he called Angela and said, I need you to keep an open mind, but I want to show you some land. So he drove Angela out to Baseline and Geyer Springs, Southwest Little Rock. And there was a campus just east of Geyer Springs, about a mile. And on this campus is Children's Hospital Clinic, Health Department, Police Substation, Library, Southwest Community Center. I said Health Department. And right in the middle of all of these services is 4 acres, 3.7.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's
like, oh my God. I mean, it was just waiting for us.
Yeah.
Goosebumps. It's good. It was just waiting for us. And so they gave it to us for $1 a year for 99 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
I have chills.
Yes. I know. I mean, it was, and I was on vacation, came back, and Angela said, what? I said, where is it? And she goes, no, I got to drive you out there. I said, okay. So we're driving, and she turned in this thing and she said, see all those woods? And I said, yeah. And she said, that's it. And we just looked at each other and bust out crying. I said, this is
that's awesome.
So worth the wait. It's bottom line.
Broken ground?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No, we gotta raise a bunch of money first.
Okay.
So, in this COVID environment, just a great time to launch a campaign, but by God, it's gotta happen.
Well, I mean, the fact that you can put probably with that space more beds, and with COVID, you're really thinking about like spacing, I'm sure too. And like,
of course.
How you're going to space children with parents and like,
yeah, that's such a nice area. We've gone out there for my stepdaughter's volleyball games. Like she's had stuff at the community center. And I'm like, is that a police station? Like just across this little like parking lot, and it's all beautiful. Like everything's brand new and beautiful. I mean, so nice. I mean, like that's perfect place.
Beautifully wooded that we're going to try to really keep the footprint so that it's kind of a sanctuary kind of thing, with the trees and all that. But, and the thing now is with COVID that I didn't mention before is we got a national mandate coming down from DC that we had to cut our census in half because of COVID.
Yeah.
So instead of 54 beds, now we have 26 people.
Which is unfortunate because
it's really unfortunate because the need is still there. They keep calling us. And so we've got probably 40 people in hotels.
Oh.
And if they will sign the confidentiality agreements and all that, our advocates go to them.
The hotel has to sign the confidentiality.
Well, as the
person coming in.
Yeah. Okay. But our advocates, we've had to reimagine our whole mission because our advocates now are going back and forth, taking food. We have so many wonderful services, but it's just.
Where do I write a check? Because I'm about to cry right now.
So let me ask you this. So like when you are, so what I was talking about, like with the verbal abuse and the emotional abuse type person, which a lot of times, and I don't know percentages, but I would guess a lot of people end up going back.
Yes.
Because they are so just beat down. Like they can't even look anybody in the eye. They can't.
They don't have the confidence to do anything else.
Yeah. Which is, it's again about you have to get them away from it for a certain amount of time for them to realize, and it takes time. And some people are just really weak. So when you go into something like this and you're letting them in, do they have to sign some kind of contract? Like, how do you allow them to come in? And then like, what happens if they leave and go back?
These are such good questions. They're so good. So when they come to us, we explain that we have a 45 to 60 day program that the end result of that, if they go to, if they allow the counseling with the advocates and we'll help them write resumes and help them find a job. And then the end result is trying to get them in transitional housing, right, away from all of this. And in talking to them and telling them, if they go back, what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. Well, many, many times we'll go through this whole program and they'll go back. But Emily, usually within 2 weeks, they're back.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we have become so much more credible with
After
what we told them because it happened. They went back, textbook, we told them what was going to happen. It happened. They come back and man, are they listening to us. They are really listening to us now. The average is 6 or 7 times a woman will go back to an abuser, the national average. We'd like to say ours is maybe 2 or 3 because we're so stinking effective.
So
we've got amazing advocates.
So
and we offer light at the end of the tunnel.
When I was talking about this earlier, I was thinking about like when you're talking about the teenagers and how they come into what I know. And I'm not saying I know a lot of things. Like I feel like I have some tidbit of information from like a situation.
Sure.
That I won't go into. But I feel like teenagers tend, if they're in there long enough, it doesn't have to be teenagers, to a certain age, they're going to, not on purpose, they're going to gravitate to the same type of man that is doing that to their mom. I mean, they are. And the biggest key is if they're strong enough to make it out of it. Because if they stay in it, I mean, it's just like this whole like cycle and they'll continue to be just like what happened to their parent. And they just have to know. And I mean, and if they can make it out of it's a learning thing. I mean, am I right? I mean, I don't know. I just feel like for personal experience.
Breaking the cycle is the key.
Yes.
There is definitely a cycle. And it starts with isolation. It starts ramping up isolation, verbal abuse, may, slap, a slap, or it may escalate a little bit. It may get really bad. And then there's that whole honeymoon piece. I'm sorry, honey. It's all
he's great. He's so great.
Never happen again. And so when we speak to the teenagers in high school and the dating violence, we really key on this. And it's kind of like, if you see this happening at home, you have got to know that this is not right. This is not the way it's supposed to be. Right. And so many of the kids have helped their moms come to us because the kids know more than the moms do about what's going on because of all of our seminars and these.
So how do the kids, do y'all give information to schools to say like, hey, if you recognize this and you have a problem, then you should call and you could help your parent?
Well, no, we do. Like I said, we created the criteria for these programs. And so, all the school counselors and the LRPD and do you get calls from the kids? I mean, like on the hotline, are you like not just a mom, like you're getting calls from the kids? Like that would break my heart. No, we get calls from the kids that are 7 and 8 years old. Can you help my mom? I mean, it just takes your breath away and I guess I've had such a great life, and I had great parents and I had an obnoxious brother and he's still obnoxious. And so I see these beautiful young people, struggling and going through and not knowing. And it's not really that they're uneducated. I mean, they're educated people, but it's just, they just don't believe that this could be happening to them.
Yeah.
This is something that happens to somebody else.
These abusers are professionals. Like they know what they're doing. They know exactly how to manipulate you. They're crazy.
Yes, they are.
I mean, and typically they're hiding something. So they make an abusive, they make you feel less to cover the things that they're trying to,
of course,
what I mean? Yeah. I mean, it's just like this whole, like, it's so insane. And I know just the things that I know is on like this level. And I know it is so much worse for people. And it is so scary to know that it's in town. And like, when you don't, like we don't really know anybody that's happening to. So when you are seeing it, it's just like, it's real and it's happening. And we need to figure out how we can help. So you guys are having a fundraiser.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We're this is going to be so much fun. Everything's virtual, right? If I have to watch another virtual thing, well, this is our virtual Women of the Year. Last year, Marcy Daughter was our Women of the Year, and we had it at the Marriott, and standing room only. And Marcy did an amazing job. And Marcy linked ACH with Women and Children First, because our missions, they can weave together.
Of course.
And we work with them every day. Well, this year, our Woman of the Year is our First Lady, Susan Hutchinson. And Susan works so passionately with Children's Advocacy Center, which is the third organization that can weave together with the other two. And she said, yes, we needed a notable woman, because once you have a virtual event, you can't spend 15 minutes explaining who this woman is and why she is. And I mean, I'm just so thrilled that she said yes. I'm just so thrilled that she said yes. So it's going to be more live than it is pre-record, because we're going to do it live at Waymack Studios.
Good.
Yeah.
And we have asked Craig O'Neill to be a special guest.
Nice.
And Craig, with the...
So can I tell you something? Because Emily is from Louisiana. I am. I'm bringing it up because I'm a big Craig O'Neill fan and I love Craig. And I'll tell you why. And you're going to know this because Emily's not from here. And I totally introduced her to prank calls from when he was on, before Caller ID. And on YouTube, I was like, Emily, you have to listen to this. Like, I mean, he's awesome. I mean, he does such a lot. He has so much volunteer, like
great personality.
Yeah, he's such a good personality.
He'll bring a lot to the event. Yeah, for sure.
Well, he can't. And he retired from emceeing, if you will, a few years ago. But he always told me, he said, Cathy, I'll always do commercials for you for Woman of the Year. And so he would pre-record commercials, and they'd be hilarious. I mean, when Susan Higginbotham was our Woman of the Year, he had Mick Jagger and it was just crazy. Well, I told him, I said, well, we want you kind of unleashed. We want you to do a few commercials, but we don't really want this scripted or pre-recorded. And he's like, I'm in. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So we have Daniel Robinson is going to MC also, Daniel, and I've got Daniel's high profile taped back here. And then I've got Angela McGraw's high profile.
Love it.
I mean, between Kim and Michelle and Rachel Cheney.
I love Rachel Cheney.
I don't know how much I'm going to owe her for all this stuff. This is great. But, and Wallace Smith, who is the second year chair for this event, I talked him into it again. He's brilliant. We've got an amazing committee. But instead of, we don't have pledge cards because we don't have tables, right? So we're going to have the first auction that we've ever had. And we have fabulous auction items. In fact, the auction just opened.
I just got the email today.
Yes, it just opened this morning and we're already off and running. We have
awesome.
Great stuff.
So when you go to the virtual live thing, like what is that going to be? So tell us how that's going to work. So are you?
It's real. It's super easy. It's WOY2021.givesmart.com.
Okay.
And that takes you to the platform.
Okay.
And you register and you can look online at all the auction items and things like that. And then night of at 6 o'clock, if you're still on that, if you get on that site, boom, part of the screen will come up and it'll be live. I'm hoping this isn't going to be like the Gong Show, but
it would be cool if it kind of was. I mean, you could totally make it funny and be like, hey.
So what is the live night? What is the night of the event?
It's February 6th. It's not this Saturday, but next Saturday, February
Okay.
6th. And we've got all the information on our website, which is wcfarkansas.org. Let me tell you something about what we did on the website this year. I was talking earlier about our hotline calls, and starting in January, February, our hotline calls were just going down, and we were trying to figure it out. So we had a group of people in a room together, and we're like, okay, why is this happening? I said, okay, think of a woman that's in trouble. And one of the advocates said, her
Texting.
abuser's in the room. She
Yeah.
can't
You
talk.
need to text.
So we put chat on our website,
Mhm.
blew up,
Yep.
blew up.
So I was on your website. I was on the website today, and I really noticed the chat. I mean, that was something that really I could tell that it was an easy thing that if I was interested in an event, someone was probably there to like answer. But I guess I don't even know, but I felt like it was there, and I don't know if it was blinking. I don't even know, but it was just like there, and it was something that was getting me. So I don't know what it was.
Well,
but
you
I
know,
did
somebody
notice it a lot.
could take their phone and go in their bathroom, shut
Yeah.
the door,
And you wouldn't be able to
text
hear it.
us saying, I need a safety plan, or I need to talk to you tomorrow. I mean, there's so much we can do for them.
Yeah.
Just texting and give them some direction. The main thing is for people to know we're there. Is people to know the services we have. People know that we're available.
So like if somebody calls, like if they are like, oh my God, please help me right now. Like if they didn't call 911, they're like, help me, come get me. How would you handle something like that? Are you like, I'm going to call the police? I mean, do you have like volunteers?
The first thing we need to know is, tell me your address right now.
Yeah.
And the first thing we get is their address. And then whatever else follows, we can always call LRPD and say, we need a car to go by there. We need, something's up. We work really well with the LRPD and North Little Rock. And I
know it has to be so different because it's not like calling 911 and there's like a problem. You have to be so secretive with abusers. I mean, you have to go in and like, they have to think that you're not calling them out, or, I mean, it has to be a secret somehow.
Were you seeing that? It hadn't been on lately, but a few years ago, there was a woman that called for a pizza, and she actually called a shelter. Do you remember seeing that?
No,
I don't, but this brings up a really important point because we've all been on so many Zoom calls that there's been some sort of like code words or code like hand and I don't know what they are, but hand signals that people have been doing for that exact reason, that they can't speak what's happening. And so you're doing the chat, which I think is so great. And then there's been this like whole like secret language that's happening, or holding up signs. Have y'all seen any of that kind of stuff happening in Arkansas?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think there's anything we haven't seen.
I'm sure people are trying to get help, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
They're figuring out ways to do it.
But it's, domestic violence, it's a public health problem, number one. It's a community problem.
I'm sure right now with the pandemic, I mean, people are stressed out. Husbands are stressed out. They're like, I mean, how are people making ends meet? How are, I've just literally for myself, and this has nothing to do, I'm not trying to go into me, but I'm just like, I'm working. I'm doing less than what we did last year, but I'm just saying, like, I am working and can get a depressed state.
Oh, of course.
If you're not working and can't make your rent and you can't make things and you have a family to feed, and I just can't imagine.
Just unbelievably volatile right now. And we know it's bad. I mean, nationally, we know it's bad. Locally, we know it's horribly bad. We're not going to know how bad it is until this all gets lifted somehow. And it's going to shock everyone. I mean, so the first 8 days of January, there were 11 homicides related back to domestic violence in Pulaski County.
Mm-hmm.
With shooting women?
Yes, and then a woman shot her entire family.
Oh my God.
She got so beat down that she just said, I don't want anyone to experience what he's doing. So she shot everybody.
Oh my God. Which is kind of rare. Like you don't ever really hear about
it
women.
Is rare. It is rare. It is rare.
With
but it's something that no one wants to talk about. You know, it's not like a disease or something that has empirical data that, you know, what you do ends up with this result. I mean, we don't have the finances, the resources to follow a woman for 5 years when she leaves our shelter. We only know when she doesn't come back. Hopefully that's a good thing. If she does come back and allows us to put her in transitional housing, that's a great thing. A lot of them come back and work for us as advocates. Who knows better?
So do you guys help with like therapy and for the abuser? I mean, the abusee, I guess. I mean, how do you go about helping with the transition? Like, do you have to have legal fees? I mean, is there lawyers involved? I mean, are there?
Right. So we have wonderful landlords in apartments and some houses that we work with that allow us, you know, to move people in and maybe not have 6-month leases, but 8-month leases, you know, whatever. We provide, you know, the deposits, the utilities for the first few months and let them get on their feet. Make sure they have transportation. I mean, there's a lot of things that we pay for to get them on their feet.
Yeah.
I would like to, everyone we put in transitional housing, we'd love to know where they are 5 years from now.
Sure.
We love that, but we don't have the resources for that. However, we have been absolutely blown away a time or two with women coming back to us saying, I bought my first house. I got my
that's awesome.
You know, when we were having pop-up shop, I think the second or third year pop-up shop, a lady came in, we were like at the end of the third day, and all of us were just like, oh my God, if I look at one more piece of clothes for $5. And this lady walks in and Angela recognized her and said, oh my God, it's so great to see you. And she said, well, I just had to come tell you that I bought my first house. And I mean, there was like 15 people standing there and we all start crying. I mean,
that's awesome.
This woman had such an unbelievably difficult time getting away from her abuser. And then she went on and she went to college, went to junior college, and she got her college degree. And then she even went on to graduate school. I mean,
awesome.
And this woman, if she hadn't come to us, she may be dead. You know, I mean, if we hadn't been able to help her. So this is something that, like I said, no one really wants to talk about. It's really hard to fundraise for.
I'm sure.
Because
so I love something in this article. And I told Emily this before we started. In the article that you did for inviting, I circled it because I love at the bottom it says support now, but yes, this is too selling. But when one truly believes in the cause, it becomes asking, not selling. And I like that because I think that is so true. And I mean, I did some stuff with the art center, and I mean, when you're not on like the level that, I mean, it is, fundraising is hard. It is hard in a small town, and there's a lot of causes and everybody needs money and help, but
there's only a limited amount of donors.
Yeah. So, I mean, but also when you know what you're, when you believe in something, I feel like that's when people know that that's a true passion and that they will help you, and it's not selling it. And I like the fact that I like the fact that you said it's not selling, it's asking, because sometimes people think fundraisers like, oh, they're just going to sell me something.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's anyone on this planet, or at least in Arkansas, that doesn't know that I'm the real deal when it comes to this organization. And and all of our people are like that in our organization. And our peacekeepers, our young person, our volunteer professional kids, they need to be a little not as worried about asking people for money, but that'll come, you know, that'll just come. I mean, I can't do this forever, Emily, you know, at some point, I mean, geez, but the Daniel Robinsons, the Tiffany Robinsons, the Wynn and Natalie Rockefeller, this is our next generation of philanthropists.
And and Tiffany does so much with Barbara Jean as far as like that the sell that you guys do. What is it called? I forget. I'm sorry.
The pop-up shop?
The pop-up shop, which
yeah.
is amazing. I mean, you can get some good do you remember when Niles came on and he said he got like a Chanel jacket and he totally gave props to the pop-up shop. And I mean, it's amazing, and all of it goes to women and children's church.
Yeah. Well, we have right now in Daniel's warehouse, as a matter of fact, we haven't been able to have pop-up shop, obviously, this year. So we have got probably 30 racks of fabulous stuff. A hotel gave us 40 rooms of hotel furniture. I mean, we are going to have a kick-ass pop-up shop whenever we can.
Can I just say that when you talk about hotel furniture, do you remember when the Capitol Hotel redid when it went from like, I don't even know, this was so long ago, but I bought a sofa because it was they donated so much to the to a Catholic High, and they always have that like big rummage sale thing. And I bought a sofa, and I still have it. I had it completely recovered. It's all down. It's like a smaller regular size sofa, but I love it. And I got it, and it came out of the Capitol Hotel. I mean, those are things that, like, from a hotel, you think about things that you can
durable.
service.
I mean, it has to be.
Yeah,
it has to be made to last. So
exactly.
Yeah, so we're, I mean, Amy, you know me, I love, I'm a marketer, right? And I look at Daniel's warehouse full of $70,000 worth of stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, we got to figure this out. So whenever that gets time closer and we can do it, I want to come back on and talk about all that. But
yes, absolutely. I would love that. I love this organization, and I'm so excited for you guys. I hope you guys are so successful.
I know. So for people that want to give, what's the best way to give?
Well, they can go to our website, which is wcfarkansas.org, and we'll certainly take their money through our website. They can go to this WOY2021.givesmart.com and get on our platform and start bidding on these wonderful things. I mean, they're really unusual things. It's not the normal stuff.
I love an auction item.
Yeah. And And I mean, or just, email me and I'll come get the check.
So for somebody that can't really give funds like money, is there something that you guys look for that helps out a lot? Like say I'm going to buy an extra box of tampons or.
Well, anything like that. And they can drop all of that stuff off at either the North Little Rock Hank store or the West Little Rock Hank store on Bowman. And all they need to do is just put a sack in there and just say, this is for WCF. And at least once a week, we come and get all this stuff. And toiletries, shampoo, toothpaste, toothbrushes, paper towels, toilet paper, just shampoo, just anything like that. I mean, that all helps us not have to buy it. So, cans of Beanie Weenies. I mean, the kids.
What about like hand soap or
yes,
dishwasher detergent? I mean, like I'm just thinking like anything that I buy like in bulk, like
an extra,
any of that kind of stuff.
Like if you go to Sam's and you have to buy like 4, why not give like 1 extra to them? I mean,
that's exactly right. I mean, we just don't turn anything down. I mean, because we have so much need, and with our transitional housing folks, we may not use particular things in the shelter with our guests, but with our transitional housing people, just like a lady gave me a ton of like bath mats the other day. She said, I don't know if you can use these. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, this is awesome. So it as off the wall as you can imagine. We can pots and pans, kitchen towels, I just think that people don't think about it. Like, I think that that's what's important is like getting people to realize like things that you think that are bad in your house, like maybe a gym for somebody that
doesn't have anything, because people come in and they're leaving everything behind and they have to start completely over.
Well,
right? Like
exactly right. I mean,
clothes.
they walk out we say the minute that a woman has that aha moment and is leaving that abuser, she's 95% more likely to be killed.
Oh my
And
God.
so they walk out with nothing. Hopefully their children are behind them. I mentioned kennels before. That's the fifth reason a woman won't leave a situation, is because the abuser says they can't, the kids can't take their pet. Well,
Oh my God, are you kidding?
the pet is the only way those kids have been loved,
Mm-hmm.
in I don't know how many years, because a woman's living in fear. If you're living in fear, you can't have your child cuddle up to you on the sofa and hug and all
Well,
that,
because
because you're
an abuser will be jealous of a child's affection with
Mm-hmm.
the
That's
mother.
right.
So,
So the
I
new
mean,
place will have a kennel, and we've already had 4 people want to underwrite the kennel.
oh my
Oh, that's
gosh,
amazing.
that's awesome. Because we're three dog
I know
people,
you are.
which
Yeah.
we both have. Actually, we have litter mates from Mary and Ryan's dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
We have
We each have one.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to get Ro a black lab puppy. So we're working on that on our end with our black labs.
Oh, that's awesome.
My grandson.
I mean, this is so exciting. And just knowing the things that I know, but being reminded of things like makes you more aware. And I mean, everybody needs to know about this. And that just because you live in this bubble of like the pandemic and you're going to your place, there's people that don't have a place.
Just mentioning this to people so that they know that more about this.
Yeah.
They may know somebody else that they say, Amy or Emily, they know about women and children first.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't imagine how prevalent this is. And so the awareness and talking about it and all that is just huge. It's just huge when you think that, honestly, I don't want to be over dramatic here, but because of that, somebody knowing something about it could save a life.
Yeah, totally.
Save a life.
I mean, it's not just a movie. I mean, it doesn't just happen in movies, it happens in reality.
It is. It does.
Yeah. Well, I hope that when things get going with the actual new location, I mean, we would love to get a tour.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll come and show you guys our casebook, which will kind of line out, what our goals are and what we want to do.
That's awesome.
And it's going to be, there's 40 states have these family peace centers now, and Arkansas does not. They're in 25 countries. They even opened one in Saudi Arabia not too long ago,
Really?
which is amazing because they just started driving over there. But Arkansas needs this. They need this shelter, family peace center with the other agencies, and it doesn't need to be anywhere else but in Little Rock. That's where it needs to start. Because if we could do something like that and do smaller models, maybe 5 or 6 around the state, rather than having 36 domestic violence shelters that are 5 beds, 10 beds, 12 beds, don't have a 24-hour hotline. Not that I want to take anything away from those people, because they're doing unbelievable work, but we could be a lot more effective and a lot more efficient. And the abusers would know that these women have places to go now.
Right.
So, back off, because they know, they know that they've got a place.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm super excited. Your cover is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
You need to frame it because it's so pretty.
And good luck on your upcoming fundraiser.
I'm very excited to share this knowledge with everybody and make people more aware of.
Well, tune in, because it'll be a fun evening for sure. It won't be the old virtual. Anyway, it won't be like that.
No, is the word virtual kind of becoming like the new cuss word, like virtual?
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. No kidding. Well, we did what we thought was going to be fun and entertaining. I mean, it'll be very poignant.
That'll be great.
Tim Whitley will tell his survivor story, and it's quite a story. But and the First Lady will say her speech, which is good. And of course, we have a tribute video where the governor talked and Sarah talks, and It's super fun. It's just fun. So
great. Well,
anyway, thank you for having me.
You're doing awesome work. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, ladies.
It was good to see you. Thank
Love
you so much.
Cheers.